And Shalom Akim. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakakwadash. Double honors to the elder apostles of Great Millstone who teach and rule well, and Shalom to the sincere Akim, spreading this truth and sincerity. Shalom. So in this video, I want to delve into 1 Peter chapter 1, and I want to start at verse 6 and read on down. So this is 1 Peter chapter 1 verse 1. Salakia chapter 1. 1 Peter chapter 1 verse 6. Salakia. Wherein ye greatly rejoice, though now for a season, if need be, ye are in heaviness through manifold temptation. And the reason that we are in heaviness through manifold temptations is what verse 7 is going to explain us. But even though we are in heaviness and manifold temptation, I want to say heavyfold, but the reason that we still are rejoicing is because eventually, we do know the reward that we are going to receive, and that is going to be salvation, and inherit the kingdom. You see? So verse 7 says that the trial of your faith, being much more precious than of gold that perisheth, though it be tried with fire, might be found unto praise and honor and glory at the appearing of Yahweh Shai. And that is why we are in heaviness through manifold temptations, because our faith, is being tried and tested, man. Our faith is basically, being checked out if it's sincere. If it is real, if what we say that we believe, if we can, basically walk the talk, if we're able to back up that which we say we believe in, right? And that ain't mean that it's going to be easy. That's not what it means, because it is going to be, a very difficult walk that we're walking over, that we're basically walking, man. That's what 2 Esther chapter 7 also says, man. It's going to be a very difficult path that we are walking. It ain't going to be easy, man. And the moment that I started to press record in this video, I'm starting to talk, man. But, to be honest, I had a little bit of a problem with kickstarting, this video, man. Because the flesh, wanted to hold it up, but it was like, no, man, I gotta make my video, man. The spirit was saying, you gotta make the video, man. You gotta make the video. The battery thing was like 12%. Had to find the charger, and it's my phone. This phone still uses the old Samsung, charger. So I had to look for the right one, the one that has an extension cord that I'm able to make long enough, so I'm, able to sit down and relax instead of having to, lay down or sit down in a certain position with the short charging cable being in the charger. So all those things basically lined up for me to be like, hey, man, let me do it tomorrow when the phone is charged, man. But I was like, no, man, I gotta make the video today, man. I gotta make this video tonight. I gotta do something spiritual, man. So it says 1 Peter chapter 1 verse 7 that the trial of your faith, our belief, our faith is being tested, being much more precious than of gold that perisheth, though it be tried with fire. Because the way that gold, is basically being purified, is with fire. You can basically compare that to us, that we are being tried in the fire, how it says in Sirach chapter 2 or Ecclesiasticus chapter 2, right? But our faith is more valuable than gold that is being tried in that fire. You see? Because if you really if you really think it through, like if you really start, to think about it, the thermonuclear missiles, what they're able to do is they're able to basically uh, um, melt the elements, which gold is made of elements. It is made of a particular element, right? So the thermonuclear missile, is able to destroy that. But our faith that is being tried and tested, is able to overcome the thermonuclear missiles by us being delivered, from the destruction, because of our faith being backed up with work, right? If you really just stipulate about it, you know you know what I mean? It says, though be tried with fire, might be found unto praise and honor and glory at the appearing of Yahweh Shai. You see? So what we're actually working towards, or what we're actually striving towards, is to receive that salvation once the Lord comes back, and that our faith, has overcome and surpassed all the trials, tests, and tribulations, man. And that it can be, basically be commanded, that we can be commanded, for our faith, you know. Verse 8, it says, and actually we're getting now towards the point that I'm trying to make with the video. It says, whom having not seen ye love, in whom though now ye see him not, yet believing, ye rejoice with joy unspeakable and full of glory. To think about this, right? We believe, we basically believe in things, or in this case, we believe in Yahweh Shai, whom we have not seen. We have not heard him. He has never been in our presence, in the physical sense, because where two or three are gathered, there am I in the midst of them. But we have not witnessed him, in the flesh, life, 3D, 4D, 5D, however you want to, stipulate it. We have not seen the Lord, man. But we love him, we believe in him. We do the things that are required of us because of our faith. Showing you yet again that the faith that we have is a gift of the Heavenly Father. Something that we have not been able to earn by ourselves, but it was a gift given by the Heavenly Father, Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai. It says, now ye see him not, yet believing, ye rejoice with joy unspeakable and full of glory, receiving the end of your faith, even the salvation of your soul. So receiving the end of our faith, that is going to be the end result of, having overcome all the trials and tribulations, all the trials, to test our faith, to test whether we are sincere, whether we really want to, push this for Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai, And that is part of believing in Yahweh Shai, man. Like it says, whom having not seen ye love. We have not seen the Lord. But we still love him, and love is being shown by actions. In whom though now ye see him not, yet believing. Yes, we believe on the Lord, man. We believe in Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai, whom we have not seen. Ye rejoice with unspeakable joy and full of glory, man. And, this is also something that the book of 2nd Esdras spoke about, actually. This is 2nd Esdras chapter 1, in verse 35, it says, Your houses will I give to a people that shall come, which not having heard of me yet shall believe me, to whom I have showed no signs, yet they shall do that I have commanded them. And that's basically, you know, these latter days, man. We have not really seen any miracles. We have not witnessed, the prophets, like they appeared in the times of old, man, in the days of old, man. We have not received those same things that our forefathers received, yet we believe. And it also says, yet they shall do that I have commanded them. So we are doing the things that are written about in the scriptures, and we're putting those things forth, man. We're doing those things even though we have not seen those things. Why? Because we have been given, the gift of faith. You see? Verse 36, they have seen no prophets, yet they shall call their sins to remembrance and acknowledge them. You see? That's also what it reads, in the book of Baruch, man. Baruch. It says, Baruch 2, in verse 30. For I knew that they would not hear me, because it is a stiff-necked people. Our people are very stubborn. But in the land of their captivities, they shall remember themselves. You see? So we come back, to the understanding of who we are and what we did in the past. Verse 31, and shall know that I am the Lord their God, their power. For I will give them an heart and ears to hear, so the Heavenly Father will give us back the understanding of who we are, of who He is, of who the Lord is, the Lord Yahushai. Verse 32, and they shall praise me in the land of their captivity, and think upon my name, and return from their stiff neck and from their wicked deeds, for they shall remember the way of their fathers, which sinned before the Lord. You see, so we will come back to the understanding of who we are as a people, or at least, understand that we belong to the nation of Israel, that we belong, to the chosen people of the Heavenly Father, that our people, that the majority will not come back, but that we got to make sure that we make it, man. That we're going to be the ones to basically become friends with the Heavenly Father, by pushing, every day in and day out, to basically show our faith, man. In times of hardships, in times when you don't feel like it, you're still gonna do it, man, because you gotta make your videos, man. You gotta get your reading in, even though it might be gonna, or it might be difficult, or it is going to be difficult for you, to do everything at the same time, But everything will be done. The Heavenly Father will make sure that you're gonna do everything according to the best of your abilities, man. You see? Back to 2nd Esdras, chapter 1. In verse 36 again, it says, they have seen no prophets. We have not seen the prophets of old, man. We do believe that, starting off with the other Apostle Jesus on down, that there are the prophets of old, that they are back in the reincarnation. We do believe that, because reincarnation is a thing that the Bible speaks on, So the prophets of old, they are basically back in the reincarnation, but they don't know who they are. We don't know who we are, in the reincarnation, man. Yet they shall call their sins to remembrance and acknowledge them. Or take to witness the grace of the people, to come. Which grace is basically mercy that is bestowed upon them. Which we have received mercy by the Heavenly Father for what Yahushua did towards us. And right now we have a grace period, in which we have the opportunity to make mistakes and to grow, and to come back stronger and better, man. To offend, less day by day, to come, whose little ones rejoice in gladness, and though they have not seen me with bodily eyes, yet in spirit they believe the thing that I say. You see? So we have not, seen the miracles. We have not seen the Lord Jehovah Shai. We have not seen, what the Heavenly Father did, in the side of our people, in the times of old, man. How he showed his valiantness, his strength, his power, all them things he was able to do in their side. We have not seen and witnessed those things, yet we believe the things that is written, of old, man. We believe those things, and that's actually a blessing, because that's also what faith is. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. So we have not seen these things, but we still believe, right? So like, this is First Peter chapter 1 and verse 8 again. It says, "To whom having not seen ye love, in whom though now ye see him not, yet believing, ye rejoice with joy unspeakable and full of glory, receiving the end of your faith, even the salvation of your souls," man. So, us believing, in Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, whom we have not seen, whom we have not, see perform, miracles and things like that, believing in Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, shall eventually, result um, in salvation, man, the salvation of our souls, and that's why we are being tried and being tested, man, because that is just, our faith, being put to the test, man. Like I said, as I am making this video, man, I am speaking, man, I am talking, and prior to recording, like I said, man, I felt way different, man. I felt like, hey, man, I have to wait till tomorrow. The circumstances are not right. This, then, the third. But that was the flesh, man. But the spirit was like, man, go make that video. Go make that video. This is 2nd Ezra chapter 9, verse 7. "And every one that shall be saved and shall be able to escape by his works and by faith whereby ye have believed," man. So salvation goes into, being saved. The ultimate salvation that we want is from the destruction to come. Once the Lord comes back, and brings forth, the ICBM, or the intercontinental ballistic missile, or the, nuclear destruction, together with, the chariots and the destruction that they are able to bring forth as well. But we're able to escape all the perils and things that the Heavenly Father is going to bring forth upon the earth, because of, our faith, coupled with the works, man. You see? And that's very important, man. We got to couple our faith with our works, even though it's going to be very hard. It might be difficult. Your situation might not be, perfect. Just keep on pushing, man, to the best of your ability. Because basically your work is not going to be unseen, man. The Heavenly Father does see what you're doing. The Heavenly Father does see your intentions. The Heavenly Father sees how you're trying, even though it might not, be, as good as you want it to be, man. But your work is not in vain. Let me see where that is. Work is not in vain. labor. I think it's the word labor. I think it's labor. This is 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 58. Therefore, my beloved brethren, be ye steadfast, unmovable, always abounding in the work of the Lord. For as much as ye know that your labor is not in vain in the Lord, man. So to the best of your ability, keep on pushing, man. When there's an opportunity, keep on pushing, keep on moving, man. You really gotta, do these things to the best of your ability, man. So with that, I do hope and pray, that this video was edifying. And with that, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakakwadash. Double honors to the elder apostles of Great Millstone, who teach and rule well, and Shalom to the sincere Akim, spreading the truth and sincerity. Shalom.